Last winter, Northlanders experienced one of the harshest winters in recorded history.
We broke the state temperature record. We are at, Kathy Hopa, what is our temperature?
Minus 60.
60 below, according to the National Weather Service official observation here at Tower, Minnesota.
Record snowfalls and record-shattering temperatures pushed us to the limits. One way to safely make it through our longest season is to have your vehicle properly prepared. The cold weather isn't far away, so now is the time.
You should get your car ready right away, because although we've had rain, the weather pattern's shifting as we go into November. In fact, some of the latest maps have a big snowstorm for us once again for Halloween. Could be a white Halloween on the way.
So what should be checked to be sure we'll have reliable winter transportation?
As far as our winterized check over, normally it's checking the charging system, the battery, the antifreeze coolant to make sure that the strength is there for the winterizing for our cold winters up here. Do a belt and hose inspection on it to make sure everything's good there for the cold weather. Good overall inspection of the vehicle as far as tire condition, things like that for getting up and down the Duluth Hills here.
How do we know if we need an engine block heater?
Well, I would say if the car is going to sit outside and it's over a couple, 3 years old, I would recommend definitely investing into an engine heater there. It's a pretty good safety that, you know, if it does get down to 20, 30 below, that the car will start for you.
And for safety, the tires are very important. Be sure to check for any uneven or excessive wear. And to keep your tires in good shape, an alignment check is recommended. Also, keep an emergency kit in the car. Blankets, jumper cables, a flashlight, and even a small shovel can come in very handy. In Duluth, I'm Jason Rice for Channel 6 News.
Our future. Working together is our future. Tom Huntley is in the state of Washington. We're winning a seat in. This is a wonderful district. These are really great people. I'm proud to represent you in the U.S. Congress. I'm grateful for the reaffirmation of trust.
Good win.
Oh, positively. One of the best in the world, for sure.
Yep. And again, it looks like we're picking up some house seats. I know one Gary Frank's seat in Connecticut.
It sounded like they called a few too early in Maine and Louisiana and Boston.
We cannot tell you how honored we are to have your support. I want to, and I go by intuition. In addition to my family, let me, as part of our family, let me first of all, and I want to introduce.
With fuel prices going up, with oil prices going up, the grants just aren't going to go as far. People are going to run out of oil a lot earlier in the season than they have in the past. And if it's a cold winter, you know, that's going to augment the problem.
N282.
So what do you think about the gas prices going up?
I think it's kind of ridiculous. Pretty high, $1.38. Can't get you where you're going half the time.
It's frustrating because they got you and you can't do nothing about it.
Oh my God. Have they been going up over there as well? Little by
Yeah,
little.
I think they shut up, you know, like
ribbon to a visible location on your vehicle. And our purpose is to change the meaning of tie one on by asking drivers to tie a red ribbon to a visible location on their vehicle. And this is a promise for the individual that they won't drink and drive.
Alcoholism. What has happened in the past 25 ribbon like this and tie it onto your car?
If we ever did this, we basically had a few.
We saw the hand, and we knew that it was the remains of something, but it was decomposing. So it's very difficult to tell exactly what you're seeing until you can actually lay the thing out and get a good look at it. So.
Went back to look for a Christmas tree like I usually do, and it's an old snowmobile trail that I walked through, and I seen a box sitting there, so I went and checked on it, and it was a real bad odor, so then I came back and called the sheriff's department.
How's gymnastics going?
Well, we've had a break for like a week and a half, and we really needed that time to work on our routines to get ready for our meets that are starting this week, and so we're going to be a little behind with that, but hopefully we can catch up.
How's gymnastics going?
Well, we've had a break for like a week and a half, and we really needed that time to work on our routines to get ready for our meets that are starting this week, and so we're going to be a little behind with that, but hopefully we can catch up.
After a short break, hitting high school students are ready to get back into action, and the school will be ready and waiting, at least for school activities. All winter sports and fine arts, if they haven't already been in progress, will resume on Tuesday, and any canceled athletic competitions will be rescheduled for a later date. This is good news to Activities Director Milt Verant.
I'm very happy. It saves a lot of problems of rescheduling, and if we were going to have to reschedule everything in the next 3 weeks. I mean, there would be obviously a lot of those things would have to have been canceled. We wouldn't be able to make them all up. So it's working out much better than I anticipated.
Students are busy working on their float for the Spirit of Unity parade.
But they're also concerned about this summer, when they'll be graduating about a month later than usual.
I think that they should let the seniors take it off when we should end. I mean, I know a lot of people got their graduation parties planned. They make that stuff ahead of time, and now that it's gonna screw up everything.
I need to start applying to colleges and stuff and get scholarship information, and that's all at the high school. And I'm not quite sure where to get it now that that you can't even get in the high school.
I'm kind of bummed because I want to graduate in June or May. You know, I want to get it done, get ready for college.
Most students agree that for now, they are enjoying their vacation.
It's kind of exciting right now because everyone's always dreamed of their school burning down, and now ours actually has. It's kind of weird. It's exciting now, but I know this summer we'll regret missing all this school.
John, that is a nice tree. Look at that.
Angela Wang, Channel 6 News.
And it was February 6th, 1989, when the sheriff came to the door and gave me the information that my husband had been killed in an accident.
That's the day that changed Cheryl Johnson and her son's life. Her husband, Greg, was on a snowmobile trip when he was hit by two snowmobilers. They were drunk and driving too fast. They were never charged or ticketed. They never even said, "I'm sorry," to Cheryl and her family. Because of two careless drivers, Cheryl lost a husband of 14 years, and 4-year-old Nathan lost a father.
It's hard. Year after year, as my son has gotten older, it's been easier to explain it to him because he's understanding what human nature does. But he still says to people when they ask him, "Where is his dad?" He says, "My daddy was killed by guys that were drinking and snowmobiling."
Cheryl says it took Nathan 2 years for his father's death to sink in and realize his daddy wasn't coming home. Nathan was sad, angry, and feeling abandoned. You can see it in this photo taken at home and this school picture too. Nathan and Cheryl finally sought help and attended grieving and counseling sessions to help deal with the pain.
My husband, he would come home from work, and the minute he'd come home from work, he would either be outside with his son or with our animals. He was a very family-oriented person.
Cheryl still remembers every detail of this tragedy, but instead of reflecting on it, she uses it to teach others. She speaks to snowmobile clubs and organizations and anyone who will listen. She wants to get the message out about how dangerous and fatal snowmobiling can be. Greg Johnson's death is a grim reminder. In Saginaw, Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
Hi, I'm Captain Keith Ryhall, and this is my beautiful wife, Cindy.
And this is our daughter, Samantha, and our new son, Levi.
We'd like to say hi to Grandma and Grandpa Ryhall in Floodwood.
And Grandma and Grandpa Clark in Duluth, Minnesota.
We'd like to send all our family and friends a holiday season, holiday greetings.
From Misawa Air Base, Japan.
Happy holidays!
I've never seen candy made before. This is the first time I've seen it, and it's interesting to watch how the consistency changes from the candy is hot and they pour it on the slab and it's liquid, and then you can actually see it cooling and starting to thicken. And the whole process of pulling the candy, it's really very exciting. Makes you hungry too.
First, we cook it, and that's what we're doing right now. So we cook it up to 300 degrees. Now that's pretty hot. Then we put it on a slab of marble. That's the old way of doing it. But now we cool it on the marble. Then we flavor it before it's cooled, after we pour it out. And then we cool it so we can handle it, and then we color it to different colors. And next is a hook for pulling the candy to get it white or pink or bright yellow or whatever. Pulls air into the candy and changes the color of it from a kind of a drab color to a more of a brilliant color. And then we put the stripes together put them on the outside of the batch, and then roll it out and cut it off and make the canes or the crimp or the pillows. I do feel closer to my folks, and coming up here to make candy is a real fun experience for me. I love to do it.
We don't have that information yet, and I guess things. But unfortunately, in our community or society, child abuse cases are not unfamiliar to us. We go on many of them throughout the year. This one has just gone beyond the point of the normal investigations. Obviously, this little child was injured so severely that it caused its death.
You're going to bump into this and that when you get married, you know, and differ from the other person. And so the marriage is what you make it. You have to start agreeing on things.
Ann Partonen's advice should be taken very seriously. Few have more experience in married life than she does. The 70 years she and Earl have spent together have spanned wars, the Great Depression, and the beginnings of electricity in our homes.
We started going together, I think, after I was working in Grand Rapids. But we knew each other, who we were, long before that. And that was back in 1925.
So, Earl, what makes a marriage last?
To have somebody like her. She's helped. She kept the home going when I've been working away from home, because my work always took me away from here.
We used to have a hall and places, and we met, and we'd see each other, and even if we weren't going together, I knew who he was many years before.
Mm-hmm. So you had your eye on him?
No, I don't think so.
The Partonens owned their own business for many years. Building their company gave them a definite goal and some priceless experiences.
Well, in learning, we maybe learned the hard way, but we learned it's been on-the-job training.
After spending the afternoon visiting, learning, and sampling some homemade cookies from the turn-of-the-century wood stove, the couple stood in the doorway, assuring us they'd invite us back in 5 years for their 75th. For this youthful couple, there is no end in sight.
I guess I've never thought of the ending. I haven't yet even, so I'm looking forward to 2000 so I can mark that on a check, you know. That sounds interesting.
Jason Rice, Channel 6 News.
You're going to bump into this and that when you get married, you know, and differ from the other person. And so the marriage is what you make it. You have to start agreeing on things.
Ann Partonen's advice should be taken very seriously. Few have more experience in married life than she does. The 70 years she and Earl have spent together have spanned wars, the Great Depression, and the beginnings of electricity in our homes.
We started going together, I think, after I was working in Grand Rapids. But we knew each other, who we were, long before that. And that was back in 1925.
So, Earl, what makes a marriage last?
To have somebody like her. She's helped. She kept the home going when I've been working away from home, because my work always took me away from here.
We used to have a hall and places, and we met, and we'd see each other, and even if we weren't going together, I knew who he was many years before.
So you had your eye on him?
No, I don't think so.
The Partonens owned their own business for many years. Building their company gave them a definite goal and some priceless experiences.
Well, in learning, we maybe learned the hard way, but we learned it's been on-the-job training.
After spending the afternoon visiting, learning, and sampling some homemade cookies from the turn-of-the-century wood stove, the couple stood in the doorway, assuring us they'd invite us back in 5 years for their 75th. For this youthful couple, there is no end in sight.
Yeah, I guess I've never thought of the ending. I haven't yet even, so I'm looking forward to 2000 so I can mark that on a check, you know. That sounds interesting.
Jason Rice, Channel 6 News.
To point out how women are degraded and exploited and turned into a commodity.
We know in talking with personnel from the school, and so just in the area of that activity. We have recruited a group of senior citizens from our community to act as advisors to this project so that a project will be from seniors to seniors, and we will have that information for you and readily available by the end of the year. It has been a pleasure to work with the administration from the city of
I'm always hopeful that something like this will work. It can't hurt. I think that we just need some more information. And in these cases, there was not a lot of physical evidence at the scenes of these robberies to lead us in one certain direction.
I know other Canadians are doing it as well. We're having more training, and yeah, we're doing an awful lot from a security standpoint to hopefully get the word out that we're not going to be an easy mark as to these things.
Still considered big now.
There was a couple trucks on the freeway coming from Cloquet. They were in the ditch.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm, flipped over.
Oh. Well, it is 3 days away from Christmas, so you don't really have a choice.
I think when you're working and own a business, you need to share during the holidays for people that are a little less fortunate, and we've been very fortunate, so we want to do something, and we do a tan for can. You bring in a can, and you tan for free.
The DNR Forestry Office in Cloquet was burglarized early Monday morning, November 25th. Burglars broke the padlock off one of the doors to the maintenance building. They were looking for chainsaws. They searched everywhere and found a portable generator and 2 Stihl chainsaws valued at over $400 apiece. Cloquet police suspect the burglary may be related to a similar break-in to the Forestry Office in 1995 when 10 chainsaws were stolen. Do you have any information about this burglary or the one in 1995? Do you know where any of the stolen chainsaws are? Call Crime Stoppers if you do. We'll pay you up to $1,000 in cash and keep your name anonymous. Call us about any crime you have information on. Our numbers are 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH. That's 723-3683.
The vehicle went down into a backwards position, so the back of the vehicle immediately filled with water, and it went down immediately.
We went skating first, and then we started going sledding.
It's out here enjoying the fun and getting a little skating in and some sledding. Obviously, you can tell she's having a good time. We all are. It's a really good deal out here. A lot of fun.
Did you get it? Oh, yeah.
I'm over here, Daddy. Just stay there. Just stay there.
Bubba, bring me the ball. Come on. Come on. Give me the ball. Come on.
many things will stay the same. And throughout all of this, we will be here as the St. Mary's Duluth Clinic Health System, not just a network of people or facilities or technology, but as a better way of delivering health care to our region. His name, and we will now are the St. Mary's Duluth Clinic Health System. And I'd like to say that you can expect a great deal. You know, to have out of a work. What is the relative partner shares? Be able to follow wherever the physician wants them to go, or they want to go with the patient. Well, I don't think that we have sensed that, and again, talking to the medical.
Where else in the United States can you find people who are as friendly and as caring as the people in Duluth?
With words of praise for the city of Duluth and its people, Mayor Gary Doty delivered his State of the City address to an enthusiastic crowd. The first portion of his speech covered the city's achievements in the past year.
Many Duluthians believe the best way we can measure progress is through new businesses and jobs, and we saw plenty of great signs of this in 1996. Northwest Airlines' $50 million aircraft maintenance base opened, making Duluth home of the most modern facility of its kind in the country.
The second part of the speech dealt with the mayor's hopes for the year ahead.
Starting today, I challenge us to add at least 1,000 more new jobs in the next 3 years. It's another aggressive goal, but I know we're up to it.
The mayor also reported that several neighborhood meetings will bring city government and citizens closer together in 1997. In Duluth, Dave Anderson, Channel 6 News.
Outstanding city employees of the month for 1996.
Major Woodbury was participating in night exercises with several other Air Guard F-16s Tuesday night. Around 6:20 p.m., his jet was reported at 300 feet and descending. The Major's fighter then disappeared from radar. The plane and the pilot have yet to be found. Authorities are concentrating their search in a sparsely populated and heavily forested area near Highway 2 north of Two Harbors.
Some loggers reported an aircraft flying quite low over that area last night at the exact right time. Another family in another house reported the same thing further away, but the direction that they thought the aircraft might be going in would lead you to the same spot as well.
But no crash was heard, making an already difficult search harder. Military and law enforcement people began to look for Major Woodbury almost immediately. The personnel of the Air Guard Survival Recovery Center were eager to put their specialty to work.
The greatest accomplishment we could get is if we could find this aircraft and this pilot. But it's always feels good to be involved in something like this, but the circumstances are less than ideal, obviously.
The search continued through Wednesday with no positive results. However, Major Woodbury's comrades have no doubt that his Air Guard survival training will pull him through to his ultimate rescue.
He would need to get himself in a warm place, possibly build a fire, but he's trained to do that. He has, as we mentioned earlier, he has a survival raft. It has a zippered top on it. And we're trained to dig a hole and put the snow over the top of it, and you can get in it, light a candle, and you will be warm at 40 below zero.
The search was temporarily called off Wednesday night to let weary rescue workers get some rest. Many had been on the job over 30 hours. They'll be back in the woods, though, at sunrise. Dave Anderson, Channel 6 News.
What does he need to do to survive, Colonel, for another night?
Well, he would need to get himself in a warm place, possibly build a fire, but he's trained to do that. He has, as we mentioned earlier, he has a survival raft. It has a zippered top on it. And we're trained to dig a hole and put the snow over the top of it, and you can get in it, light a candle, and you will be warm at 40 below zero.
These are crimes captured by surveillance cameras, graphic reminders of the violent society we live in. Common sense says the more video cameras, the greater the chance of catching the criminal. But surveillance video isn't always there, and it's not always reliable. And so police say what they still rely on most when trying to catch a suspect is their age-old ally, and that's you, the eyewitness. And oftentimes what it boils down to is how observant you are and how well you remember. Marilyn Steinbright remembered well. The Norristown woman says she was kidnapped by a man whose face is unforgettable. Her description helped police arrest this suspect just a few hours after they circulated this composite sketch.
The best ones can be uncanny in their resemblance.
Lower Marion Sergeant Mark Keenan says a good sketch can make a big difference. This drawing of a Lower Marion rapist led to the arrest of this suspect, who was later locked up for the crime. One tool that helps police profilers put faces on felons is called the Identikit. It's packed with eyes, hair, and noses. It's a jigsaw puzzle of facial features.
It takes some patience. Sometimes you'll have a person that agrees with the composite within 5 or 6 tries. Other times there's witnesses or victims that just simply cannot say that that's the person.
I asked Detective Rich Nilsson to come up with a quick composite of me.
Now I look at this, and I don't think that looks like me.
I would have to play with this for probably another 20 minutes or so before I was satisfied that it was you.
If the Identikit doesn't do the trick, police can call a sketch artist. Oscar Vance is an art teacher who also uses his pad and pencil to create criminal faces. We asked Oscar to draw a picture of Gary. Gary's one of our producers, a man Oscar has never met. And this is what he came up with.
The description is the key, because if you give me an excellent description, I'll translate exactly what you tell me.
But just how good are people at remembering faces? Well, we used another producer, Brian, on the streets of University City. He introduced himself to our potential witnesses. After Brian was out of sight, I asked our witnesses just what they remembered about him.
Tall, Caucasian, probably about 6'3".
Was tall. I think with blonde hair.
He had on a brown jacket. I didn't think he was wearing a jacket.
He was wearing a black jacket.
Was he?
Our experiment showed too often we just aren't aware of the world around us.
At the command post, tents have been put up for supplies and shelter. A mobile unit houses communications equipment, and signs are posted at the base of the road leading into the crash site, declaring this area a national defense zone. It takes about 20 minutes traveling in a military tracked vehicle to go the 3 3/4 miles to the crash site.
We've got a pretty good packed snow road going in there now. Just depends on how heavy equipment that team asks for as to how much we'll have to improve that.
Once we arrive at the accident scene, a winding path leads us back to a huge crater caused by the force of the F-16 hitting the Earth. From the moment we get within 200 feet of the crater, the smell of jet fuel is noticeable, and ashes cover the snow everywhere from the explosion of the jet. The crater itself is about 30 feet long, 20 feet wide, and about 15 feet deep. Inside, there is no plane, just trees snapped in two and small pieces of evidence that something went terribly wrong. The trees behind the crater give authorities an idea of the angle of the jet's decline. Some are missing the top foot, others are sheared off halfway up the trunk.
The force of the impact is sobering when you see it. It's just, the only good thing about that is I know that my friend perished instantly and could not possibly have felt anything.
Stromquist tells Channel 6 he knew his friend had died when he found a shred of a parachute harness with a pocket and snap. Inside the pocket was a serial number. Other items found, bits of a rubber life raft and part of a fiberglass survival kit. There is evidence in trees, on the ground, and even jutting out of the path leading through the crash area. Some is marked by orange flags, others wait for identifying markers to be placed. There are very few large pieces of the F-16. The entire site is blanketed by this heavy snow, which is pockmarked with holes, dirt from the ground and evidence from the jet lying under the cover of white. Investigators will plot out where each bit of the plane lies, then put it into a computer for analysis. Colonel Stromquist says he did not believe how difficult the site was until he visited the scene himself. It was at that time that he declared Major Woodbury did not survive. Colonel Stromquist says Major Woodbury's family is relieved to have some closure in this tragic crash and asks that the community keep the pilot's family in their prayers.
They're doing very well. In fact, one of the comments today was that Brandy, Peter's wife, is doing better than any of us deserved. It's a great comfort to us that she's doing well.
Psychologically, I think it's going to be a real hurdle. You know, and it's kind of like what Paradise said in the newspaper yesterday, because, you know, from that period of time when it seems to become a county, be able to have these alliances so that we can, in fact, maintain that profitability. There's no guarantees that Miller Dwan, having been profitable since I've been on the board over the last 6 years, will continue to be profitable in the future, and we see tremendous threats to the 7 medical fields that we specialize in. We want to protect those.
As you sift through your financial records, it's likely you'll see a number of items pertaining to insurance. Automotive and homeowners insurance are two expenses that many of us have, but how wisely are we spending that insurance money? Insurance agents we spoke to say while insurance isn't cheap, there are ways to make your premiums go further.
Well, I guess the biggest mistake that I would tell somebody is that they have a low deductible and then have the low liability limits. Having low liability limits is probably the biggest mistake someone can make. They can afford having a higher deductible, and that can give them higher liability limits for the price, for the same price probably.
Not only can you save on your premiums by changing deductibles, but in many cases your coverage limits can be increased for minimal charges.
Get the right liability limits, and it doesn't cost that much to go from $50,000 to $100,000 or from $100,000 to $250,000. The difference people think is going to be a humongous amount, and it's usually $5 or $10 or $15.
And check with different agents about package deals. Many offer discounts for carrying more than one type of insurance through their company.
Putting your auto and home together is the in thing right now. Everybody's doing that. Every company's offering some kind of credits.
Finally, don't be afraid to shop around. By doing some quick checking, many times just over the phone, you can compare rates and find the coverage that suits your needs for a lot less money.
No company is the lowest priced company forever. If you never check, you never know. So, I mean, the only way I can tell you there is you have to check.
I've got to set you up to say things that I need to go in the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
An explosion. Was full of workers. People were in the building this morning,
and windows shattering. We got everybody in our office, got out as soon as we could. When we went outside and got it turned around to the southern part of the building, we could see all the windows were shattered on that face, and the bottom was the Family Planning Services Clinic.
an explosion.
We did some research and we're up to about 75% capacity, which when you talk about groups moving in and out, basically says that we're at capacity, and still the town keeps adding hotel after hotels.
Safety is a big issue because of the volume of traffic, and our goals this weekend are to reduce accidents, reduce complaints of speed, careless operation, and alcohol-related violations associated with the sport of snowmobiling. The main concern is safety, is that, you know, it's the behavior of the operator, it's not necessarily the machine. And the compliance to regulations will, you know, prove a lot safer trails.
Gronk's Grill and Bar in Superior, Wisconsin was burglarized between 3 and 6 a.m. Monday morning, January 13th. Someone broke open the front door and searched the building. They opened cabinets and drawers looking for money and other valuables. The burglars pried open the cash register and stole the next day's starter money. They also took over $1,000 hidden in one of the cabinets, and before they left, took 4 cartons of their favorite cigarettes. The total loss in money and damage was nearly $1,500. Call Crime Stoppers if you know who the burglars are, or if you saw any strange vehicles in Gronk's parking lot on Monday morning. Call about any crime you have information on. We pay rewards up to $1,000 for information on drugs, crime, or wanted people, and never ask the caller's name. Our numbers are 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH. That's 723-3683.
All set.
That's about 2.5, 3 feet of snow running through there, yeah.
So we didn't get far.
Far enough to get a lot of officers awful tired.
Test pilot Robert Overmeyer was attempting to push a Cirrus VK-30 to its limit in a deliberate stall when the plane entered into a fatal spin-out, plummeting to the ground at a 77-degree angle, killing Overmeyer instantly. The National Transportation Safety Board has ruled the cause of the crash is inadequate handling and performance design capabilities.
We think it's an unfortunate choice of words because it has technical meanings to the aircraft industry that the general public would want to have a longer explanation of to fully understand.
Handling refers to the plane's performance. Design capabilities change a plane's basic structure, say the difference between a 747 and an F-16. The purpose of the test was to stress the handling characteristics and study how the plane responded. In fact, the same test was done the day before the fatal flight. However, Klapmeyer says minute changes in the atmosphere or other areas may have led to the drastically different result of the same test that fatal Friday.
There was probably some change in turbulence, some change in the speed in which he went into the maneuver, and all of these very subtle differences, if they were right on the line, could have made the difference between how you entered the stall and consequently the result.
The altitude of the plane was also 2,000 feet lower than on the previous day, flying at 8,500 feet. Klapmeyer says Overmeyer did not try to eject even after he entered the spin, keeping a seatbelt strapped on and deciding not to shut down the engine.
From our interpretation of the facts, he always thought he was going to recover.
Cirrus has 24 VK-30s and will inform their owners about the test, but will not recall the planes. The company stands by its record, stating test flights are the reason airplanes are safe to fly. In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, Channel 6 News.
Nope, it's not the Superdome, but with all that screaming, yelling, and green and gold, anyone could have made that mistake. And even though they're not in New Orleans, with the help of a few bars, these Packer backers are more than hyped for the big game.
Throw the biggest party north of Minneapolis. That's always our goal here at the Sports Garden. Make everybody have a fun time. For those who can't go to the Super Bowl, the next best thing is be here at the Sports Garden for it.
With a 144 square foot screen and all the pizza that you can eat, you could almost say it's better than New Orleans.
And cheeseheads agree, they're having a pretty wild time.
The energy here has been totally awesome. Everybody's so pumped up and excited about the game. It's been great. It's been great.
The beer is good. They're big. They're not that pricey. They're all right.
Beer is beer, as cheeseheads are cheeseheads, and no matter what side of the bridge you're on, there's no getting away from Packer Mania.
I haven't slept. I'm not kidding. Last night I was up 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. It's just not, I don't really so much care about the Super Bowl. It's just I want them to win every time they play.
It has been insane, actually. The enthusiasm is just out of this world. The Packer fans are definitely the best fans.
And this fan came all the way from Canada just to watch the game.
We could have watched it anywhere, but we choose to came to the state where Green Bay is from, and we're going to go for our Packers all the way.
In the Twin Ports, Angela Wang, Channel 6 News.
Burglaries continue to plague Northland homes and businesses. One of the recent businesses that was victimized was the Runway Bar on Arrowhead Road in Hermantown. It was broken into at the end of November, and then again Monday morning, December 30th. The burglars used their truck to break into the business. They smashed the truck into the door and forced it open. They searched for cash and pried open the jukebox. Both break-ins were very similar, and Hermantown police suspect the same people were involved with both burglaries. Very little money was taken, but the damage to the building was nearly $12,000. Call Crime Stoppers if you know who the burglars are. We'll pay as much as $1,000 for information and keep the caller's name anonymous. We never ask the caller's name, but issue them a caller number they use in future calls to Crime Stoppers. Our numbers are 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH. That's 723-3683.
Help to keep our residential costs down and keep our costs. Been thinking about this topic a lot lately, so.
I suppose. She's close to it.
Yeah.
Another part.
That they're required to buy from, so. The Menorca mine employs 370 people, and the long-term contract and its competitiveness in electric price to the mine help to ensure those jobs and ensure competitive taconite production for that mine and the industry as a whole.
Now, that's regionally. Why should the average person walking down the street here in Duluth, for example,
I love the Packers. They've waited so long for this, and I do believe they deserve it 100%. We worked hard for that.
The student body decided that they would like to make a donation to CASDA, Center Against Domestic Abuse and Violence, with some stuffed animals for children that might be taken out of the home or need a spot for shelter, and they'd have something to go with them if they
I don't think blacktop is the answer. Its lifespan is too short, in my opinion. it dries out after some time, and it only takes a couple years, and then it gets brittle, then it's done. Comes right up.
You couldn't even have that chance. There was no watercress. There is no excuse now for polluting the Mississippi. You know what that Tom thought he was coming.
To me, the outdoors is quality of life. It's not only my life, but for all of us who do those things outdoors, and that it's important for all of us to then protect and conserve and be concerned about the outdoor resources. So
follow Rice Lake Road all the way up to Arrowhead. Get on Arrowhead, you're going to go north on Arrowhead about 3 blocks. Then at the stoplights, you take a right, and you take Rice Lake Road for approximately another 2 miles. And then you take the first left. Actually, it's not the first left. I don't know the name of the street, but then you would go west there to the airport.
You go out by that little Kenwood Shopping Center, and you take a left, and you go all the way down like to Arlington, or I think so. Yeah, and then you take a right, and you would just go down.
They're going to be working one into an open face box. Right. Were you able to make into a box talent? Directions with you. And then take the beans with you also. Yep. Take the set of beans and baking soda and pouring a variety of different strengths between the different colors. Your own three-dimensional geopaint. Raisins and toothpicks, and the solution is just liquid dish soap and water.
Having more space allows us to continue to update with the technology, stay with technology. We bring in more equipment to keep the price of mail down, price of stamps down.
Parcel, he's ready to load up in the vehicle. But before he does that, he wants to pick up.
The Wenzels left their house on Saturday mid-morning. Michael returned home less than an hour later to find his home on fire. Neighbors consoled him as he helplessly watched his belongings go up in flames.
Saw the baby's room was on fire and they were throwing stuff out of it. And I could look up and see all the way through up to the, the roof. And, I just kind of lost control. I, was crying and emotional.
Before the house was set on fire, it was trashed. Every picture and mirror broken, the speakers kicked in, the entertainment center destroyed. The ceiling fan in the dining room was ripped from the plaster, the lights in the kitchen smashed in. But nothing was stolen from the house. Investigators want to know who did this. Right now, they have few leads.
we've got no idea, and that's why it makes no difference whether or not they knew him. If we get the neighbors telling us about comings and goings, then we'll know.
The Wenzels are the only black people in the immediate neighborhood, and neighbors wonder if race played a role.
And if it is racial and somebody did do it from this neighborhood, I'm ashamed to be a part of this neighborhood.
Late Monday afternoon, the mayor issued this statement. Crimes such as this that violate a person's life and possessions are cowardly acts that cannot be tolerated.
of the show. Now experience homicide online.
Bang, bang, bang! Is that what you did?
The Case.
He who loses control loses.
The Cut.
You're beautiful. She's beautiful.
She's dead.
Homicide Second Shift. You become a detective and solve new cases exclusive on the web. Where the show ends, the interaction begins.
Come on!
Homicide. Life online at NBC.com.
Just a second, let me get you. Okay.
Homicide Online. Where the show ends, the interaction begins.
Come on!
Experience Homicide Online at NBC.com.
Potlatch Corporation will stop production for 2 weeks in March. The company will shut down their oriented strand board facilities in Cook, Bemidji, and Grand Rapids.
Well, with prices, right now with prices as low as they are, and again with so many panels out there on the market, it's not cost efficient to produce during this 2-week period.
Within the last few years, 11 new mills have cropped up that also produce these structural panels, which are similar to plywood substitute. This creates more supply, but not more demand. Also, business is at its usual seasonal low, adding to the problem of low demand.
More than 500 employees will be affected by this shutdown. Potlatch officials say the employees have a couple of options. First of all, they can use their vacation time during this 2-week break, or they can apply for unemployment compensation, which wouldn't kick in until the 2nd week.
But Potlatch officials are optimistic. They say this temporary stop in production will help them continue to provide service to the community.
But Potlatch, in all of its lines of business, strives to be a safe, low-cost producer in all of our product lines. And so with our business philosophy, we feel very confident that we can continue to proceed forward in a very positive fashion in all of our lines of business.
Angela Wang, Channel 6 News.
What this means is if you're outside past 11, wandering the streets, vandalizing, robbing people's houses, damaging people's property, then you'll get in trouble.
Sometimes people don't always treat him as nice because he's Greek. And he sees that, and he sees someone else that maybe someone didn't treat good because they were black. Whether or not that was the reason, it might be the reason. So Costa wants to help.
Jonah, behave.
Did we tell you about our theme?
Probably figured that's where it was.
This is water skipping, driving a snowmobile over open water at high speeds. This home video was taken last winter on Yellow Lake near Webster. Spectators gather along the shores where the sleds zip across the water right into the crowd. This is the same spot where one person was killed and 3 others seriously injured last weekend.
Where one machine was stationary, it appears, and the other one came into it and knocked several of the people and some of the bystanders into the water.
At the site, the first responders' mask still lies on the ice along with the victim's clothing. This is what remains of the snowmobiles from that accident. But this water skipping event is much different from the sanctioned events in Siren, Wisconsin, where officials control and regulate the sport, unlike here.
I think it's relatively safe if there's not 4,000 people standing around. So. Well, I haven't done it a whole lot, but it's kind of interesting using a machine what it wasn't intended to be used for. So.
Neighbors of Yellow Lake say they think water skipping should be banned.
I've lived here since 1985, and I don't think there's anything good that comes of those water skips.
It's quite a hazard, I think, for everyone involved. There isn't what they have any control over the situation. It's not sanctioned by anyone in the area, as is Siren.
But some snowmobilers will continue to skip, knowing the risks.
I don't see a problem with it. It's just when everyone gets a little liquor in them and getting a little rambunctious, people get a little crazy.
The Wisconsin DNR is evaluating current policies. They plan to talk with the Minnesota DNR to see if the ban on water skipping has made a difference there. Near Webster, Wisconsin, Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
This is the jacket I wear in the snow. What are they?
Cool reading with Mr. O today, right up to you.
But it's a nice break to be outdoors, isn't it? The sun's out. It's not really cold. So we'll start.
65-year-old Beverly Freeman and 50-year-old Dennis Hoffmeister are charged with felony theft and embezzlement. Freeman has been the accounts payable manager since 1983. Hoffmeister was the business manager. They both are accused of writing themselves checks from the school's account. The criminal complaint states that Freeman wrote 3 checks to her credit cards. Hoffmeister allegedly wrote 5 checks, all made out to himself. They allegedly embezzled over $30,000.
It's been rather disappointing for the entire community to have these things happen. The most recent issue with the embezzlement of funds has hit the community very hard. It's going to be difficult to rebuild trust in the school again.
To add to the troubles, the principal was suspended with pay because of what the superintendent says were inconsistencies in his work. He is now working as the librarian, and an interim has been hired in his place. He works with the students almost every day and says they are taking this negative publicity quite well.
Kids are great. I find that kids are real resilient, and they don't seem to realize what's going on, you know, some of the things that are going on. They're here to learn, and that's what they're doing.
The superintendent says these events have been devastating and will now try to rebuild the community's trust.
Hopefully we'll be able to put this behind us very quickly and move on to focusing on kids.
Okay, I understand.
Just when it seemed like spring was right around the corner, the Northland got a quick reminder that winter is still here. And will Just when it seemed like spring was right around the corner, the Northland got a quick reminder that winter is still here. And with a good cup of coffee in the morning, some Northlanders got a head start on their wet task.
Great, I'm all done. Did the sidewalk, the driveway for back there, a big job, but it's heavy. Got the snow blower stuck a few times, but we managed, got the snow out.
Well, so far it's been going extremely well. We're having a good time out here, all the neighbors and I. We just had coffee, like I said, together a few minutes ago, and we're just enjoying ourselves.
These mini-mites were also out shoveling their rink for a hockey game. But along with all the snow comes some good old-fashioned fun.
It's just fun after you're done shoveling to just go outside and play in the snow and have snowball fights with your friends.
Dustin Love, celebrating his 12th birthday, says the snow is like a gift.
I feel like it's a blessing that we had all this snow last night for my party because I had planned a floating party.
And partygoers say there's nothing like a good run.
I like the thrill of going off the jumps.
Oh,
hurting
really?
myself.
You like hurting yourself?
No.
Angela Wang, Channel 6 News. The Minnesota DNR says conservation officers are receiving numerous complaints about dogs chasing deer, and they say during this time of year it's a deadly problem. Dogs are able to travel across the top of crusted snow that deer break through, making the deer easy prey. So the legislature has passed laws to protect the deer.
And it's just an issue of protecting the resource from wanton and unnecessary destruction. And it's no more different than if ducks would be prey to predators or any other wildlife species. So it's just a matter of protecting the resource that's out there. And
the Minnesota DNR is asking for your help. If you see a dog chasing deer, please contact your local conservation officers right away. Law enforcement officers have the right to shoot a dog for wounding or killing deer. Klein says a lot of hunters are dog enthusiasts, and they don't want dogs unnecessarily harmed. But dog owners must take responsibility and keep their dogs tied up.
it's just a matter of you have to have a balance in nature, and there's no sense in a dog running free in the Northwoods killing deer randomly. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I can't see a need for it and what purpose it serves.
In Duluth, Angela Wang, Channel 6 News.
If you're not here in 10 minutes for the Northland's #1 rated 6 p.m. newscast, here's what you'll miss.
Superior students are bucking the trend, dropping out more often than their counterparts statewide. But the problem is far from being ignored.
We'll see you at 6 on 6.
Across portions of the South, dozens of deaths and millions of dollars in damage have resulted from late winter floods. But you don't have to look far from home to see the destruction high waters cause on the Iron Range, on the North Shore, and in northwestern Wisconsin.
The weather experts are saying your area could be flooded when the snow melts.
This commercial by the Federal Emergency Management Agency is running heavily in the Northland. Experts hope people take heart and buy flood insurance before it's too late.
Well, I think it's crucial for anybody, no matter where they are. I mean, you never know. I mean, we've had an extraordinary year of snow over in North Dakota in the west part of the state. There are people that are going to be flooded that probably will never be flooded again this year. And you will only miss it when you need it.
Every year, the Red Cross responds to flood victims in the Northland. Most have lost everything and have no means to replace their belongings.
Flooring and clothes, furniture, and no flood insurance.
There are several reasons why homeowners may not have flood insurance. One, they may not live in a floodplain, or two, they don't think they can afford it. According to the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources Water Division, flood insurance on average costs between $750 to $250 depending on where your home is located. A cost experts say is a necessary expense for peace of mind.
When you think about what it would cost to replace, well, just one room of your house, you can spend more than $250 on an end table or a lamp, or that's half of a couch.
Once purchased, it takes 30 days before your flood insurance is activated. And with warmer temperatures fast approaching and near-record snowfalls, time is running out. In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, Channel 6 News.
You can't, you walk on, when there's a fire, you stop, drop, and roll.
Perfect. Your door was hot and you couldn't get out of the second. Walking and someone crawling. How's it feel? There you go.
They want to take their dogs and cats with them and look for them, and that's why I always tell them to go home and talk to their parents about it. So if their parents tell them not to, then maybe they'll, you know, it will sink in and they'll know that they just have to get out and stay out.
slowly change with the seasons in the spring. They want to get up there.
At a level that they should be at, finally.
And clearly the evidence is in the overall student performance, which demonstrates that these kindergarten students this year are already at the first grade level this year. And so the kids are learning better, they're going to be better students, and that's what the school district is here for.
Oh, they're panic buying today. They're buying milk, bread, the cheeses, staples, snacks, pop, you name it, they're stocking up on it today.
Edison all along. Well, my question is, I don't think he is. This has been, it's a freight train coming down. We believe that when you start having public tax dollars go to for-profit education, that's bad policy. That's bad public policy. The teachers of Northeast Minnesota, the MEA members, thought that the public should know, so they decided to support radio and newspaper ads to get the information out.
The number of fish in Lake Mille Lacs fluctuates for many reasons, some natural, some very man-made. The 1992 harvest was twice as much as in an average year, which made for great fish stories.
A fantastic year. We've limited out almost every time we've been out.
But the DNR says anglers, helped by high-powered boats and high-tech equipment, removed more than 40% of the fish in the lake. Fish not there now to catch or to breed.
They have essentially depleted the biomass from anywhere from a third to a half. The state gets tremendous pressure economically and politically to regulate and manage the fishery, and some of that needs to back off.
Compare the 1 million pounds of fish taken in '92 to the numbers for this year. The DNR says an acceptable '97 harvest without depleting the lake is just 320,000 pounds. The projected harvest with no restrictions on the anglers would be 430,000 pounds. That means a reduction of 110,000 pounds is needed without any treaty settlement. The court-ordered allowance for the bands is 40,000 pounds, so that leaves 280,000 pounds for non-band members. The DNR's fisheries chief agrees that restrictions are necessary to sustain the quality of the lake, but he says the DNR wouldn't be imposing them for another year or two if it wasn't court-ordered under the terms of the treaty settlement. Even now, the DNR has dropped a proposed slot limit restricting the taking of large fish and instead banned the taking of small ones for reasons that have nothing to do with biology.
The 15-inch minimum was judged to be more socially acceptable by the resorts and by certain individuals. So we decided to go with that, but we've told people that's not going to be the best long-term regulation for the lake.
With the rising trend in criminal activity, county jails are taking a hard hit. With too many inmates and not enough spaces, jail officials say they are facing a growing dilemma.
I believe it is a concern right now because we built the jail to plan for future generations, and we built a facility that we expected would not be as crowded as it is at this time.
It is serious. As I said, we've been a little creative here, and we're trying to think of some alternative sentences for them.
There are 4 solutions the jails have to deal with overcrowding. First of all, they've got work release programs, electronic monitoring, expansion, as well as renting beds from other facilities, which of course means higher taxes for residents.
And since we are an operation that basically is funded through the tax dollars of our citizens, yes, there is a direct impact.
Many inmates are on a waiting list. Officials say it's a way to divert an overcrowding situation, but it's not a solution.
First of all, the penalty or punishment should be swift to be effective. If somebody goes out and commits a crime when they're supposed to be in jail, that's not good for, the whole community.
There are many issues attached to overcrowding. For example, close quarters create high tension between the inmates, and maintenance in some facilities is on hold, like fixing a poor shower area in the Carleton County Jail. Officials say the best solution is to build and expand more jails. Angela Wang, Channel 6 News.
A strong thing about our proposal is that we have a very concerted effort at involving parents and community members in the decision-making process as well as in the learning process. That's key to it.
Do you know how long you guys will be staying for?
Seems like you got out west or something,
Well, obviously. I mean, we'd like to think that if we went back and looked, we don't find any errors. But, this is a large force. There's a lot of folks working here, and the chances are we find a lot of things that we need to correct. The issue for us is whether or not we take the time to go back and make sure that when we find something that we do fix it.
Thick bushes right there. And so they would be in the bushes and they would be shooting at you with these ball bearings. There would be open stonings going on. The chant was timber niggers.
The powerful memories of the rioting in Wisconsin in the late 80s and early 90s still burn in the minds of many residents. All this over Native American spearfishing. Walter Bursett clearly recalls the fear he and other Native Americans endured.
Is that every family, every night, for 15 days, for 5, 6 years, went through that same situation. They never knew if they allowed their sons and their daughters to go out in the midst, in this atmosphere, whether they'd make it back.
So Walter started the group Witnesses for Nonviolence to teach people how to respond to violent situations in a productive way.
So we'll be playing 2 roles. One, publicly a presence so that if anyone wants to act goofy, they're going to be observed. And secondly, if they do act goofy, they're going to be documented. And we did that in Wisconsin, which ended up in a major federal civil rights case, which we won.
A recent ruling in Minnesota allows Native Americans to spearfish under their own laws. This arouses anger in some residents. So the group, Witnesses for Nonviolence, is trying to educate the community in hopes of preventing any more riots.
Until they begin doing it more, and so that the public is fully aware of both the law and the science and the history of this, we will fill those roles. As soon as other people start speaking up, we'll shut up.
Walter says he believes this time violence will be averted. Angela Wang, Channel 6 News.
between eating and heating their houses. And that meant more to her than almost anything. I don't happen to agree with that. I think people have to demonstrate self-reliance. They have to
I was surprised, I mean, because I didn't know that he was in charge of all those committees and that he made decisions for all the funding programs in the United States. That was kind of like, wow, he kind of handles that. That made a big thing to me.
To pay for health insurance. I think that's song, The Water is Wide. That's the oldest song in America. It literally.
We can greatly decrease the number of infected newborns in Minnesota, which at this point in time isn't a great number. If they undergo the post-exposure prophylactic at a risk, what are the steps that need to be taken? Similarly in their unborn child. And so what we're asking for—
The programs are out there, the communities in need are out there, and we want to make sure that there's funding from the state available to make sure that the programs are happening and that people at risk are getting the information that they need.
Mike, you don't want to say anything with your attorney present? Really? Okay.
Nope. We're still waiting on the joiner. I haven't heard anything on the joiner at all. And it's been since
Actually, it's up to the government to show that he was there. It's not up to us to show that he wasn't there. You understand that the defendant has her and is presumed innocent, so he doesn't have to present any evidence at all. It's up to the government to prove that he was there, not for him to prove that he wasn't there.
We've all seen them on the streets and highways helping accident victims. They're emergency responders, but did you know they put their lives in danger every day to save others? That's because they must do their jobs mere inches from cars speeding by.
We've been on many accident scenes where you're trying to take care of the people in the car. Your concentration is all on the injured individuals. And then you have to divert your attention from the injured parties to be aware of the people that are oncoming, because they're not slowing down, they're not heeding the lights, or they come by and they honk their horn at you. It all distracts you from your care of the patient.
Many responders have been injured because of other motorists. Just over a week ago, a Minneapolis police officer out of his car handling a routine call was hit by a vehicle driving by. The officer's leg was severed. A bill introduced by Mary Murphy of Hermantown has already been approved by the House Transportation Committee. It would require motorists to reduce their speeds when approaching or passing an emergency vehicle with lights flashing. This bill is receiving tremendous support from emergency responders who say injuries, accidents, and even fatalities could be avoided.
It's a good bill. It'll cause people to slow down, think twice about what they're doing, what they're coming up on. So I hope it makes it all the way through the House and the Senate as well and gets passed.
The bill would also double fines for motorists caught speeding past emergency vehicles, something that's already in place in work zones.
With the construction zone, it seems to have made an impact. The fine is pretty steep. So that should be the secondary part. Just keeping people safe is the important part.
Troopers and emergency responders say whenever you see an emergency vehicle on the side of the road, slow down, change lanes, and remember they're here to save our lives, not risk them. Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
Typically in Duluth, you're not having new customers. Our population is probably about stagnant, and so the only place we can get customers is from each other.
Oh my gosh, lots of eggs. Keep looking. Keep looking. What you find? Pink one. Everybody has lots of buildings.
Voters turned out in dribbles, not droves, last night for Superior School Board and City Council elections. Workers at the polls, though, accepted the low 26% voter turnout with good humor.
I'd say it's been slow. It started picking up a little bit after supper now. Hopefully, we are hoping for more, but we don't want too many more. Maybe we'll run out of ballots.
In the school board races, 6 candidates battled for 3 available seats. When the dust settled, Barbara Stupak, Richard Pomeroy, and Richard Van Rossum were the top 3. For the Superior City Council, 2nd District incumbent Kathy Carlson won re-election. In the 6th District, incumbent Frank Nolan also won re-election. In Superior, I'm Dave Anderson for Channel 6 News.
But everyone who is an expert in the field that I've spoken with, and I think the MPCA would probably have to agree, is that for the long term you're better off removing. And there are safe ways of removing that. It's expensive to do.
Right.
But there are safe ways of removing that, not
Marsh Nelson grew up in Tower, Minnesota, and even at a young age seemed bound for glory. In 1946, he was part of Tower State champion basketball team, and that was just the beginning of a long association with the sports world. In 1949, he tried out for the New York Giants along with Willie Mays. Well, Willie made it, but Marsh didn't, and that small piece of misfortune for Nelson turned out to be great fortune for Northland sports fans. In 1958, he began sportscasting on TV and stayed there for a 37-year career. Along the way, Marsh also became the voice of the Minnesota Vikings, announcing games for a number of years. Sports fans and broadcasters alike today are mourning the passing of Marsh Nelson, who died last night after a long illness. Though he'll be sadly missed by all who knew him, he probably summed up life perfectly when he retired in 1994.
You know, nothing is forever.
For Channel 6, I'm Dave Anderson.
And do you know even that working at McDonald's pays more than a child educator? So, and a lot of our child educators in Duluth have two jobs. That working with the children is their primary job, but they often hold down second jobs. And so it's really hard.
It's loaded. I guess. Throw them on up there. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. You guys go. Thanks. Have a good day.
Let anyone get him down. And if he had ever run for public office, whoever ran against him wouldn't have had a chance.
That you would give her the strength in each and every one that she needs today, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, as she's lost a very dear companion, a friend, someone.
Advisory boards, and have the state law changed on these and
policies.
Improvements and maintaining a capital improvement plan, long range.
Yep, that's true. We do have a good handle, but it's not really been formalized.
Hansen was a janitor with Duluth Water and Gas Company. Police believe he was walking home from work. The driver of the car that struck him was traveling south on the Mesaba entrance to I-35. On March 6th, city employee Zelda Cherney was struck and critically injured crossing Mesaba Avenue in a crosswalk. The driver of the car that struck Cherney has never been found. No charges have been filed against the driver in last night's accident. Both incidents have authorities concerned about visibility and pedestrian safety.
We could always do better, both motorists and pedestrians. Any fatalities are too many.